Welcome back. This is Jim Grzanzio here in Dubai. We're at Oracle Open World Middle East, and I'm here with Milo Vojvodic.
Hi, Jim.
Did I pronounce your name somewhat close?
I think it was nearly perfect, yeah.
Oh, okay, perfect.
We didn't practice anything, right?
Yeah. We just met, and it's a challenging name. Where are you from, Milo?
I'm originally coming from two countries, Croatia and Serbia. I think I divided my childhood between these two countries. Yeah, later on I lived in another beautiful country, which is Czech Republic, and in last almost 5 years here in Dubai, based out of Dubai, but traveling across many other countries for Oracle.
Cool. Okay, so for Oracle, you work in API management, right?
That's right. I work in one divisional team which is providing specialization for the region of Europe, Middle East and Africa. So we work closely with our headquarters and product engineering, product development across amount of technologies. So I cover as well technology of integration of data, integration of applications. Lately I got API management and our API platform as Oracle response to API management market as something that I was more responsible than others, I would say, in this region to bring it to the market, to educate and evangelize about it. So one of the things that I do lately is API management, yeah.
Okay, so I want to get into a little bit about exactly what API management is, but also you've mentioned that you live here now, and I'm interested in your observations on how this market, this place has grown such tremendously over the recent years.
You mean market of Middle East, Africa,
yeah, exactly.
Oracle, around, yeah.
And also Dubai specifically. I mean, I look outside, there's lots of construction going on. There's lots of activity going on.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm sure that so many people talked about Dubai and about how impressed we are about what Dubai has become in all these years. From IT point of view, I think as well Dubai is a big center of purchasing for Oracle, for many other vendors. It has some interesting dynamics. Dubai traditionally was very much applications oriented, buying a lot of pre-packaged stuff, maybe just because workforce is expensive as well to keep it in Dubai. It was, I think, one of the famous market which was more oriented towards buying pre-built applications rather than developing their own things. However, it has also some specifics in this market that we call platform within Oracle, and it has also its own developer persona. Developer persona in Dubai is, I think, is specific in a way that as well developers, I think, are a little bit less engaged in a coding itself. They are more oriented into kind of a developer architect role, more into merging and invoking existing things. They very often get engaged into using things like service bus integration platforms, about trying to put together things mainly developed in other regions which are assembled in Dubai. So this is something that I can say as a specifics, which maybe for the part of the work that I do, it makes it interesting. Yeah, we can maybe announce it as a kind of enterprise integrator developer persona which exists in Dubai.
All right, so kind of interesting to hear this because each region around the world is slightly different. You have language issues and culture issues and various skill issues as well. So I'm always interested to hear the perspective of someone who lives here.
Right. Yeah.
There's lots of people at Oracle and other tech companies that do a significant amount of traveling around the world, but that's a very different perspective of someone who lives.
Yeah.
In a specific region. You just get a whole different flavor for it.
Yeah, I mean, one more comment, definitely we must mention it here. The region is very well known with innovations, right? We took now a bit more like a developer role. We talked about this enterprise integrator developer when it comes to the story of APIs, API management. Definitely, probably the initial trigger is to talk about innovation and this API economy, connectivity. Dubai is one of the leaders in that space. It's a lot of innovations, a lot of startups in the area of API economy. It's a lot around connecting small micro-economical subjects with microeconomical subjects, and this is the place for startups. Startups very often communicate over APIs with some of the big banks, big telecoms who are offering to them some interesting data, some interesting services, hoping that they will monetize on the top of that. So I think we can say that it is specific of Dubai, that this connectivity, which we can measure and track through APIs, is higher than in regions around.
Now, you mentioned earlier there's a slight distinction here in terms of API management for the technical, for technical developers versus more business type people who are using tools. Can you talk a little bit about those distinctions?
I mean, what happened lately in these APIs become very popular. They are, first of all, it's a kind of an intrigue because they are quite old, like the concept of application programming interfaces exist in the last 50 years, right? What made it so special in the last couple of years is that this interface is something that is interfacing you when you approach some particular software service or software component became very simple. It's so simple now that you approach software component. Basically, you can do it with a zero knowledge in advance how to approach something. You can do it right now using APIs because they became a simple way to approach a component and they become standard. It wasn't like that before, even for such a marginal thing that you want to connect with your partner that you are working with every day, just for maybe you trigger some order, he needs to acknowledge it, so you can trigger on voice, you need to have a couple of weeks of a calls. Right now with a zero knowledge in advance how to do it, you just go and connect. Okay, you will have to pass some security, but you don't need to know anything in advance architecturally how to do it, right? So this give big popularity to APIs. They became almost association for connectivity. How a piece of software communicates with the rest of the world is through APIs. We can understand there is a very significant technical meaning of that, right? So we suddenly started to wrap into APIs everything, all modules or software components, whether we go outside with that or we don't go outside, we just want to internally have modularized application that pieces are communicating with each other. So this is I don't need to spend too much time talking about how technically this is important and how this is impacting everyday developer life. It became one of the most important concepts for developer. On the other side, what else happened is that these APIs, they have an interesting feature that they are very well tracking what is going through this layer. They are very good in capturing the context. Who is calling, when it is calling, how many times, what did they want, how much they asked for, how much they got in response in bits, that precisely. And we capture all of that in analytics. And it has a big potential to be a mediator of economic transactions. You can more and more track your market in how you communicate through this layer of APIs. You connect with 10 different partners. You will be tracking in API management tool which partner is the best, which one is the worst, which one connected in the first 3 days in a month. You will start calculating your pricing in this layer, this very technical layer of API management. So this opens up this completely another dimension, which is also very valid, and it's even more valid because it starts to drag in business people who are on the level of CEO office, dictating go-to-market strategies. They started to be interested in our demos about API management when we are showing how we are layering customers, which customers we suggest to be gold tier and which customers to be silver tier.
Because you had the data.
That's right. So maybe a bit longer explanation, but I think I cover some interesting stuff which are basically justifying both dimensions, technical and this economical of a concept of API, which spreads across two.
Right. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so you already did your presentation today, right?
Yeah.
And maybe I was wondering if you can share any feedback you got from the audience, any conversations you had, from the hallway here. There's obviously lots of people here. Do you have any interesting anecdotes you'd like to share?
Yeah, I think we had great attendance. It was pretty much packed, and a lot of people were queuing as well outside to try to get some information. Of course, I'm happy about it. It was a lot of questions. Some of them we could answer, some of the audience we had to send to our demo ground, some other people were answering some questions. It was a lot of as well developer-oriented questions. We talked transformationally about development. I think this raised some intrigue from the people.
So you say more of the questions were more developer-oriented versus business-oriented?
Yeah, we mentioned some interesting things about how APIs are transforming development. I will say a few words about it. Maybe that can be something to share, which intrigued the audience to ask some questions about it, and they really were interested about that fact. So, for example, I talked a little bit about this modularization of software. It's a well-known thing. We do this for ages. Right now, we talked about wrapping these small modules, whether they are micro modules, microservices, or they are this kind of still traditional service companies. We are wrapping them in APIs, and they piece of software start to communicate to each other through these APIs, as we understand. So a lot of advantages, transformational for developers, come out of this. It's much easier to decouple development.
Right.
It's much easier to make two specialized teams really specialize in the thing that they do, and as a result of that, they need to provide to you API. You need to engage a little bit with them in communication about what that interface should look like, but once they know that, they go deeply into their specialization. They provide to you the outcome of their special work. So it's much easier for someone who is heading development to somehow organize this like a specialized teams doing and communicating over the API, which is in the heart of software project. It's in the initial architecture of the overall software development would be this idea of having API as a heart of it. It's easier to outsource, it's easier to play with outsourcing, sending to some specialized Android developers, digital agency. They need to provide you API as an outcome. Basically all these teams, they just need to know how to produce some good API and once how to consume one, and you have this great it's a transformational impact on the way how someone who is head of development or CIO are looking into their resources, their budget, organization of development. It's a very interesting topic for Dubai itself, because Dubai is based on a lot of outsourcing to other countries. This was very interesting. We talked about that a lot. Some other thing as well around organization of these development teams. I can finish this, can be another comment, and this would be maybe two major transformational roles of development is, we said everything is now wrapped in APIs. Okay, it's easy to make modular teams, it's easy to connect them. We see how head of development, what is new for that role. But also you remember that we tracked how each module communicates to each other. This is changing the world of developers, and this is changing the world of a head of development, because he's able to track every single piece of software code that is developed, how it is performing, which one is being used, which one is not being used at all, which one is being used the most, who is the project leader of the one which is used the most, who is the project leader of the one which is not used at all. It is pushing developers to also change their organizational structure, to move from this a kind of more horizontal into vertical, where every developer wants to communicate with the business user right now, even these ones who don't work on user experience, because I'm interested not to look bad at the end of that dashboard. I am part of the team of a software that did not perform well. Maybe I was supposed to talk to business user as well, even I don't contribute to user experience, but something else. So I will stop here. It's a bit kind of, I'm very excited about the topic, as you can see, but these kind of transformational roles of development, for the roles of heads of development and for the roles of these people who are heading assembly, was very interesting, and it raised a lot of conversations.
Interesting. Well, I'm glad you got that kind of feedback.
Yeah.
And also, I mean, this level of analytics that you're talking about seems very new.
It is.
Is this changing the developer sort of skill sets that's required? I mean, are you able to engage different types of developers?
Yeah, I think yes, it is changing developer persona more on a soft skill side, because they need to be, for the first time, I would say, more concerned about also some of their communication capabilities, some of their understanding of business, which naturally maybe developers were not initially that much interested in, or they were not putting efforts to see how that world can be interesting for them. But now they have to, and it's a lot around some soft skills, communication, understanding of the business, more of being proactive in that collaboration towards business. So this is something that comes as a change of to developer persona out of APIs.
Fascinating. Okay, well, Milo, thank you very much for coming by. Greatly appreciate it.
Very welcome, Jim. It's a
Now,
pleasure to talk to you.
if developers out there want to contact you, get involved, or seek out your services, how would they do that?
We have a big team, I think, which is operating across this region, Europe, Middle East, and Africa, of specialists that belong to the same team like me. We are known as a cloud native divisional team in Oracle. Probably in each of the countries where someone is and is interested in, probably can find that local contact over LinkedIn or over the local office. Definitely, I guess my name will be somewhere here associated to this video, and anyone can contact me. I'm happy to help in any question related, or to route to someone who is closer to help.
Okay, great. Milo, it was a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Jim.
And I think, Javed, do we have anybody else left for today? I think we're done today. So you come back tomorrow. We'll be here in Dubai for another 10 or 15 more interviews with discussions with speakers and developers and really whoever is moving the needle here. And we'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye bye now.